Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with something that's a little different and just a quick one for you. It's not a review per se. Everyone already knows this game is good. If you've looked at it all, it's from FromSoft, so you know it's going to be good. Armored Core 6, it's excellent. Not gonna lie, straight off the bat, it's good. But that's not what this video is about, right? I'm not talking about whether or not this game is worth getting. You already should know that it's worth getting. All right, plenty of people have been anticipating it for a while. I've been spending a lot of time in it. You're going to see background footage of me playing the game, but it does have a flaw that I want to touch on. All right, so before we touch on that, the basic premise of the game, just in case you don't know, you've got an armored mech, Japanese style, not American style, like where you've got Mech Warrior, the big, heavy, lumbering, pound, just boom, 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 shooting type mech, but fast, agile ones that are scooting around and boosting and jumping and flying through the air and stabbing each other with laser swords, shooting plasma beams and missiles and guns and lasers, all that cool stuff. You're going to go through a course of missions, and as you go through these course of missions, you're going to unlock new parts, and these new parts would be things like the body itself, head, arm, legs, torso, tank treads even, to new weapons like new swords, new drill bits. Yeah, I just got the drill bit. That thing's cool. Shoulder-mounted missiles, laser cannons, shields even. So you're going to keep doing these missions. You're going to build up income, and you're going to use that income to buy these new parts that's going to let you do harder missions, that's going to let you unlock newer parts, that's going to let you unlock more missions. All right, so that's the trend of the game. You're going to keep going on, getting more money and the like. Now, there is the one addendum to that in the fact that there are ranks to these missions. So the better you do in the mission, the higher your rank. A, B, C, D, S being the top rank that you can get, and you get that for doing the mission as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So doing it fast without being damaged and not using a whole lot of ammo, because there is a repair cost and an ammo cost at the end of the mission. Now, here's where we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty of it. And this is something that I've kind of noticed that differentiates this from other games that FromSoft has done, games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, right? Armored Core is hard, like those games, but it's hard in a different way. And that's when it comes to things like ammo and health and the like, and how it's operated in this game. When you're playing Dark Souls, something you can do in that game, and lots of people have done this, is all the different types of challenge runs you can do, which, cool, great, that's awesome. You can beat that game based on your skill alone at level 1 with the starting equipment. Okay, so you can start up Dark Souls 1 with the starting, whatever class that you pick. They're going to vary, and some of them have hammers, swords, shields, whatnot. You can even start as I forget what the character is called, but basically with nothing, the famine or starving or peasant, something along those lines. But all the different Dark Souls and Elden Ring have that ability to start with a certain class and have certain starting abilities. Elden Ring, for example, when I started that game, I had the samurai class. Loved that. Start off with a katana, and I can use that weapon throughout the entire game if I wanted to, and beat it effectively based on my skills. And yes, I'm going to level up my character, but you don't have to. There are plenty of people who do level 1 runs where they never level up their character, never gain more health or strength or dexterity, and based on their skill alone can still beat everything that game has to offer. It's not going to be easy by any means, but you can do it. That is where Armored Core has its flaw, what I've seen in it so far. Now, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. And I understand the games are different. It's mechs versus... But still, this is what I'm seeing as a flaw. You don't have that ability when it comes to Armored Core. And I'm going to use the first boss, not... the first boss, the first real boss, the boss at the end of chapter 1, Balthazar, or whatever it's called. Not the first plane boss that you fight at the end of the very first mission. That one I understand. You have to beat that one by using certain techniques with that starting mech that you start with. And they made the fight difficult to the extent that you have to play like Armored Core. So many players are used to staying on the ground, and they want to break that mindset in you. The fact that there is verticality. You need to go up. I get that wholeheartedly. Boom. Yeah, perfect. That first boss whooped my ass the first couple of times. And I was like, what the hell? What's going on? I'm shooting the hell out of this thing. It's blowing me out of the water. And the game gives me a tip. Hey, dumbass, get off the ground. Jump. You can fly. Don't forget that. Use your sword. Did that. Crush the boss after that. However, when it comes to the first real boss, the boss at the end of chapter 1, which is what you're going to be seeing on screen now, when I fought that boss, you don't really beat that boss based on skill. You beat that boss based on what you're using against it. And what I mean by that is the flaw is that you can't just skill your way through this game because you have limited resources. You're going to have limited healing and especially limited ammo. And because of that, you can't really have a build that's universal. Now, yes, I'm sure people are going to come up with it. They're going to have universal builds and the like later on. But that's different once you've gone through the game and you've unlocked more parts and you come back and beat this boss with whatever unlocked parts, okay? Because you can replay the missions using stuff that you've unlocked later on. I'm unsure if the boss levels can be replayed with new unlocked parts, but I believe they can. I know the very first level you can't, but I think the boss ones can. Well, I'll have to see. For me, for an example, when I'm playing through the mission, I like to have a build that's rather versatile, right? Something that I might not be excellent at everything, but I'm okay at most things and can survive the duration of the mission. And by that, you can't just use all your weapons willy-nilly because you are going to have limited resources. And in this game, for the most part, you're not going to be able to refill your ammo. There are a few parts where you'll have a cutscene, you'll get a supply drop, and it'll heal your mech up, top your repair kits up, and you'll get a fresh load of ammo. Generally, you'll get something like that before a boss, which you do here. That's great. The only problem is that the build that you use to get through the level isn't really viable for taking on this boss. And that's because the boss has certain techniques on it, certain abilities that make it to where every build is not viable. This is not like Dark Souls, right? Where it didn't matter if you were the sorcerer or the samurai or the cleric or whoever, that you could beat that boss. Here, you're probably not going to beat that boss. This boss has a shield, and because of that shield, you have to burn through the shield and then put enough damage onto the boss when it's staggered for just those few seconds to be able to burn it down. Well, my build for clearing the level isn't sufficient to, one, burn down the shield fast enough to actually take the boss off. It becomes this DPS race where you're trying to put out enough hurt to the boss to break through its shield. And then once you broke the shield, actually hurt the boss, because you haven't hurt the boss with all your ammo up until this point. And then you put hurt on him. And the first handful of times I'm going against this guy, I'm barely getting his health down to a quarter. I never even got him to half, because I would break his shield, do a little chip damage against him. His shield comes back. Break his shield, do damage, But by this point, he's already done enough damage to me that I haven't been able to get anywhere near close to beating him. So I finally broke down. I looked up some techniques, and I was already thinking along this line. I had tried other things, increasing my health with the tank treads, trying different weapons, trying a shield. Using a shield was just idiotic. That shield just was blowing apart. Didn't stand up to anything. This one is just a flat out DPS race that you have to burn it down. I saw a build that someone had, and oh my God, you can see the difference in the background night and day. The first few times I'm fighting him versus the time that I'm fighting him now, dual wielding the two weapons that burn down shields and then blasting him with the shoulder laser cannons. That made all the difference. That was the first time that I was actually able to beat him with, or blow down his shield and even come close to getting him to half, bringing in his second phase of the fight. And then, as you can see, I finally was able to beat the boss, which was, oh, yay, great. That's a good feeling. I love that from FromSoft. They give you that feeling of accomplishment. The biggest flaw here, though, is that fact that that accomplishment can't be achieved with any type of build. And that's where I think they've made that mistake, is that in Dark Souls and other games, the weapons that you have up until that point in the game can beat any boss. It might be harder. You might have a harder time whether you're tanky or you're fast or you're jumpy or you fight from range or you fight up close, whatever it is that you use, spells or shields, bows and arrows, but you can do it. Here you can't. That's where they've made the mistake, is the weapons that you've unlocked to that point. That's specifically what I'm talking about. Because if you're playing through this as a fresh game, you haven't unlocked any of the further on parts, weapons, any of that stuff, just what you have access to up until that point. Only certain builds are going to really be viable to take it down. Now, will it be possible to take down the boss with other builds? Sure, but more than likely, you're going to be required to have at least one of those guns that burns through enemy shields, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get through his shield fast enough to be able to burn him down. Now, some people are going to say, hey, that's how the game is. That's the way they designed it. You need to be able to learn to use all the components. Okay, there's some viability to the points being made. My point is that whether or not you fight from range, you fight up close, you tend to lean heavy into melee weapons, whatever it is in this game, all those builds aren't going to be viable to take out this boss. And we'll have to wait and see how it goes on with the later on bosses. I haven't encountered all those just yet, but you won't be able to go through and one-shot a level, right? My build to beat this boss, dual wielding the shield guns and then the laser cannons, for the most part really can't get through the level with enough ammo left to take out the boss. Maybe I can get through everything up until that point, because you do have to fight an AC right before the boss. That's tough-ish. It beat me a couple times, I will admit, but not overly tough. But from start to finish, if I were using my boss build until the end, I would not have the ammo necessary. Now, they do have that refill kit, so that does help. But honestly, I don't think that build's really that good for anything, with the exception of the boss, because it's designed to burn down his shields. If you're fighting something like that AC right before the boss, you don't need those weapons. They're not any good. So it leads you into that situation to where you're going through a level and you have one build where you're using it to burn through the level. Then you get to the boss, then you die, and then you restart from checkpoint where you can change your build around, and then you fight the boss with a different build. I don't like that. I think that's a mistake on their end. I think they should lean heavy into what made Dark Souls and Elden Ring so great, which was the fact that no matter what happens in those games, it's on you. It's your skill. If you beat the boss, if you don't beat the boss, whatever it is, you have a chance. You can do it. You just have to have the right skills to be able to pull it off. You could do it at level 1. You could do it with a broken sword. It's going to take you a while, but you'll get it done. Here, absolutely not. You cannot take the mech that you start with and beat that boss. It's not going to happen. You don't have anywhere near the DPS to be able to burn down his shields and actually get that done. And some people are going to say that, hey, that's part of the game. That's armor core. You're supposed to do. That's fine, but I don't like being pigeonholed, right? I have to use at least one of these weapons. Otherwise, I'm not going to have a decent enough chance. I'll run out of ammo before I burn through his shield enough times to actually take him down. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the game's bad. It's not. The game is great. It's awesome. I love the game. And I'm going to keep playing it. I'll probably play through it again in my downtime whenever I get a chance because it's a FromSoft game and it is just excellent. But I do think it is a little bit of a mistake to not lean into what made FromSoft such a big name in the first place. And that is that fact that the player's skill was the biggest factor on how well you did, not your equipment. And then hit this game, how they've done it, it's no longer like that. It is not up to the player's skill. It is going to be largely down to your gear, your equipment, on what you're using, on whether or not you can beat the boss. Like I said, later on, you unlock a whole bunch of stuff. You go back. Sure, people will come up with ways to beat these bosses using these dangle tricks. It's what everyone does with the FromSoft games. That's fine. But for the average player, they are going to be pigeonholed into certain builds, at least certain parts, certain weapons to be able to pull it off, because otherwise the boss will just not be able to be burned down quickly enough to accomplish the mission. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think down below. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate on it, some FromSoft fanboys hating on me. Like I said, I'm not hating on the game. I love the game. I think it's great. I just think that the best thing FromSoft ever did was the fact that it was down to the player's skill. Whether or not you did well or not, if you succeeded, you could do it with anything as long as you were good enough. And here, you can't. And I think that's a big loss for everybody. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think. Y'all take care. I'll catch you in the next one.